ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Clover. So what are you going to read for us tonight?
I'm going to read some poems by me and one by someone else and another one by Ben Friedlander.
Well, that sounds most excellent. Do you want to take it away?
I'm going to start with a poem that's dedicated to Jordan, appropriately so, I hope, although it's by Kenneth Koch. And I'm only going to read the second section, which begins, "Oh, to be 17 years old once again," sang the red-haired man, "and not to know that poetry is ruled with the scepter of the dumb, the deaf, and the creepy. And the shouting persons battered his immortal body with stones and threw his primitive comedy into the sea, from which it sang forth poems irrevocably blue. Who are the great poets of our time, and what are their names? Lowell of the baleful influence, Berryman of the baleful influence, Olson of the baleful influence. Is Olson a great poet? No one knows. Bishop, Creeley, Wright. Is Bishop of our time? Bunting. Is Bunting of our time? Rich. Is Rich of our time? Ginsberg. Is Ginsberg of our time? Who is still of our time? Rimbaud, Laforgue, Apollinaire, Desnos. French poets are still of our time. Schuyler, O'Hara. Is Ponge of our time? Where are the young poets in America? They are trembling in publishing houses and universities. Above all, they're trembling in universities. They're bathing the library steps with their spit. They're gurgling out innocuous, to whom? Poems about maple trees and their children. Sometimes they brave a subject like the Ville d'Est, or a lighthouse in Rhode Island. Oh, what worms they are. They wish to perfect their form. So when I was in the middle of trying to publish my book, the editor kept sending it back to me saying, you need to change this line. And I said, that's not something I wrote. I took it from somewhere, so I can't really change it. and he said, well, you have to put a note section in then to explain where everything came from, which I was uncomfortable with, so I just put in an entire index. I'd like to read from the index now. I'm going to read T through the end. Tears for Fears. Turk, Sonia. Thermidor. Tininess. See also monumentality. Towers, trains, ugliness. University of California at Berkeley. Urbanism, utopia. Vale of Lang. Valiant, Prince. Van Eyck, Raoul. Vertigo. Vertov, Giga. Violence. Wall, Jonathan. Whispering Galleries. Whiteread, Rachel. William of Aquitaine. Window displays. Winter. Wittgenstein, Ludwig. Zivan, Warren. Zone.
Sweet.
The indexer put that under A. I should say for the record, I didn't index it myself. It was indexed by the poet Andrew Joran, who's, if you don't know, quite a lovely poet and not a bad indexer. This is called The Other Atelier. I was asked to do some translations for a translation from the French festival they were having at NYU, I guess, and people think things about me that I don't understand. I don't actually speak French, much less translate it. So of course I agreed. Wrote some poems in English with a friend of mine, translated them into French, translated them back into English, made up a French poet. This is one of the poems. It's called The Other Atelier. Revolutionary workers remember the year contains dominated sectors like syntax and the city. So begins the final report on words. Posted on handbills along the facades of Rue No Fun, the shift from modernism to world systems is stored in the new candy-colored currency. History and capital had been Astaire and Rogers, but are now Clark Kent and Superman. Taking advantage of the exchange rate, I have acquired a certain 1953, though it meant selling the rights to the word peignoir and the neighborhood where you first heard it. Executive summary: who is free on Sundays is anything but free. Sweetly and green, 200 winters are owed the Shah of tomorrow. Whiteread Walk. Vertigo, Europa, austere museum, sex, hotel, record shop, Odeon, neon breath isolations in the Vale of Lang, climbing the Whispering Gallery, doing the Strand, glad girls, paper wedding, painted retina, crosses a small continent between two bars, colored rays of the visible in the spring, in the superlative Hotel Europa, drag, the light of the past tense falls from an iron hotel railing, a long skirt drenched in lassitude, all Polaroids are out of focus, felt anagogic, the taxi came, thwack, we drove into a book. Whiteread Walk. Monumental, the lacunae between ubiquitous promenaders down to the square past the open 24 hours as social forms of grieving we are prohibited. This is the remix, the new glitch has been recalled. Melancholy of luscious picked over, the fall of the phenomenon into the iris, back with another one of those, return of the flaneur as hardcore autumnophage, echolocation always places you in a different country. The cure is beats per minute, bad year in Brooklyn, bombs over Baghdad, the negative needs no introduction, and or here we go. I'm going to read two more. And I'm going to dedicate both of them and the rest of the reading to Chris Daniels. This one was sent to me in the mail by Ben Friedlander. I was consumed with concern, so I called him on the phone to ask if it was okay to read it. He said it was okay to read it. It's called Galang. Tamil tigers engage in face-licking because they can. They're a term of opprobrium given by bloggers to 4 persons held responsible for all cats living or extinct. Predatory carnivores killed after blowing up their vessel. There are various legends about how they got their nicknames. One has to do with the tasty round fruit with orange stripes called the scrotum. Referring to Tamil tigers simply as wormhole aliens. Suck a dick will help you, yeah. Like mouse testicles, they may hold stem cell promise for teenage boys. And the same holds true for humans. But because Galang discredits cream pie thumbnails, the flushed waste from an airplane toilet is an exiled Cardassian tailor, former spy for the Obsidian Order. Just so you know, the Tamil Tigers are a military organization of mature gay men aimed at rebuilding Cassidy Yates, freighter captain and Sisko's second wife. This is called Poem. Oh, capital, let's kiss and make up, and I'll take back all those terrible things I said about you to my friends and in poems. What do poets know of capital anyway? It's exhilarating, the daily life of money, as it shifts and deliberates like Frank O'Hara buying gifts in a haze of cosmopolite third worldism en route to a weekend out of town. Yet, so affectless it becomes a signature affect. Via the artifice of the Dow Jones, you often appear to be in New York. But I suspect that if consciousness is a story, you are more like narrative structure. Is that a feeling? And so, the NASDAQ and the Bourse and the Nikkei index cannot be said to happen any more than the sentence happens. Like true feelings, you're everywhere at once. That's Neoplatonism for you, or simple immanence, but either way the road leads to St. Augustine, and don't get me started, nice city, good job. It must be hard to hold things of the world in an order while studiously skirting the question of whether you are a thing yourself. And I can imagine the anxiety this causes you, but capital, don't you ever lie on the couch near the coffee in the late morning reading for the second, third time one of the magazines you picked up in one of your supermarkets in California until you come to the photo of Britney Spears in flip-flops and drag? You know, sort of like Googling yourself. This is what I learned from the specters of Dr. Williams and the coatless Carl, who appeared to me quite early in one millennium and spoke in a single arid voice, no ideas but in money. Thus the portability and persistence of ideas that have given us so much pleasure, and move as pleasure must move through the gold integument of this life. Capital, on behalf of myself and all my friends, I want to apologize for 1916 and hope we can put that behind us and do whatever it takes to feel joined to everyone else in this town and distant cities and every person in the system that is at this time and in this space of flows the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Clover.